It's time to pump up the 90s Halloween.
Well, hello again, ghouls and goblins, and welcome back to the channel. Today's spooky episode, if you saw part 1, I touched base on how Halloween was better in the 1980s. But suppose you didn't grow up in the 1980s. Suppose you grew up in the 1990s. Well, for me, I had the benefit of being an 80s kid and a 90s kid, so I got to experience Halloween during both of what I assume, in my mind, is going to be forever the greatest times in Halloween history. So today, buckle up, put Bush on repeat on your CD player, your 6-disc CD changer, and fire up Glycerine, our machine head, because we're going back to the 90s, and we're going to see what made the 1990s the greatest decade in Halloween. So join me if you dare.
I got a black heart, it's a new start. Welcome to the spooky club. I got a black heart, it's a new start. Welcome to the spooky club. Take that! Join the spooky club.
Welcome. You've got mail.
You know, as I'm getting ready to film this 1990s Halloween episode, something just isn't right here. Something's missing. What is missing? Do I need to say this is gonna be the best video ever? As if, clueless reference, of course. Eureka. And I'm not talking about Eureka's Castle from the 90s. I know what's missing. Eureka. I have discovered it. I need my flannel shirt. If we're gonna do the 90s, we gotta do this right. And I need my flannel shirt to make this feel just like the 90s. Alright. Bush shirt, check. Flannel shirt, check. Something still seems to be missing. What is missing? What is missing from the 90s? You didn't do trucker caps in the 90s? No. With your flannel shirt, you had to do the beanie. You gotta get your whole Seattle vibe going on. There we go. Now, we're ready to do this 1990s Halloween. So never mind, it's just a 90s Halloween.
Come to the haunted house spectacular.
And 21st from 10 to 6 p.m. And goblins who are planning to attend. Who dare to enter the Paso Civic Center? And $1 for your kid is all you'll pay to enter. Come on.
So, the 1990s, and the early 90s specifically, resembled a lot of the 1980s. You had the cutouts, you had all of those similarities from the previous decade. But around 91, 92, things started taking shape and becoming a different decade, a different way we did Halloween. And the biggest there was a mainstay that started in the 80s, and that was what we all would drink, and that was High C Ecto-Cooler. Now, while it started in the 1980s with the rise of the Ghostbusters, by the 1990s, just about every kid, no matter if it was Summerween, Halloween, or everything in between back then, every kid on Halloween definitely wanted Ecto-Cooler before they went out trick-or-treating, because Ecto-Cooler was your go-to juice box back in the day. Now, while the Ghostbusters were no longer really popular in the 1990s, Ecto-Cooler remained on store shelves until the early 2000s, And Slimer was surprisingly still featured right on the juice box. Now that's really amazing, seeing that Slimer wasn't even a big deal in the 90s. But if you were a 90s kid, you didn't question it. Everyone loved Ecto-Cooler.
This summer, coming to a supermarket near you. There's going to be a great new high-C flavor with an outrageous fruit taste. And what are we going to call it? Ecto-Cooler. High-C Ecto-Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
Now, as the Halloween decorations and costumes started changing through the 90s, cutouts and all of that stuff kind of took a back seat to new decorations that were coming. Now the biggie here, and I'm probably going to butcher the way I say this because much like Bi-Stool, I used to refer to that as B-Stool cutouts, but then I found out it's called Bi-Stool cutouts. There's the little witches and all of the little characters that were mainly sold at places like Kmart and Rite Aid and Car Drug and CVS and all of those stores. They were called Gimme or Jimmy witches. And they also had like fiber optic witches and Draculas and all of that stuff. Again, most of them were sold at retail stores, drugstores, and all of those. And they really started coming in to their own in the 1990s. Now I've got a bunch of those in my collection, but the one that I can easily assess right now is the Halloween fiber optic witch. All of these type of tabletop pieces definitely became a mainstay in the 90s decade, and it's a good bet that your parents probably had one of these decorating their house back in the day. These kind of became the blow molds for the 1990s, even though blow molds still transitioned from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and a lot of people still decorated with them in the 90s. But these Gimme or Jimmy pieces definitely came to popularity back in the 90s.
For great Halloween fun, pick up some spooky decorations at Walgreens. Just $7.99 each. Scary sound-activated Halloween figures, battery-operated pirate skull, witches, skeletons, and more. Stock up on Halloween candy, too. Walgreens has a wide selection of treats and goodies of all kinds. And it's time to order your holiday photo greeting cards. Put your favorite photo on any of 6 beautiful designs. All orders include a free marker pen. Treat yourself to savings this week at Walgreens.
So, in part 1, when I looked at Halloween in the 1980s, I talked about scary stories to tell in the dark and how those books were super popular back then. And I gave you a warning that when the 90s rolled around, they would be replaced with Goosebumps. Now, Goosebumps, nothing was more popular than Goosebumps in the 90s. They had Happy Meals. Well, not necessarily Happy Meals. They had a Pizza Hut kids meal. They had a Taco Bell kids meal. Happy Meals, of course, were still Boo Buckets and all of that stuff that McDonald's was still doing, but we'll touch base on that in a little bit. But Goosebumps had Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, they had the TV specials, the Haunted Mask, they had the books, they had the VHS tapes, anything you could think of. Goosebumps back in the 90s had their name on it. Now, I've got one right here at my fingertips. Here is Goosebumps VHS, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. Nice old clamshell case here. Goosebumps, super popular. And if I remember correctly, Goosebumps didn't raise as much controversy as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't think school libraries put a ban on these, but I definitely enjoyed my share of Goosebumps, especially the Haunted Mask.
It's the Pizza Head Show.
Hey everybody, I'm on my way to Pizza Hut to get a Goosebumps kids pack. Yay!
Almost there.
Hey, this isn't the right way.
Well, Scarecrow Steve says it is.
He's no scarecrow.
Sure he is.
Uh-oh, I think I woke the neighbors.
Look, Pizza Head, you'll be perfectly safe in there.
Okay.
Relax, the Goosebumps guys just want you for dinner. See you in the next lifetime. Now you can collect one of 3 ghoulish Goosebumps glow and tell story card sets when you buy a Pizza Hut kids pack.
And much like the 1980s, as I was mentioning during the Goosebumps segment, McDonald's, of course, had the Boo Bucket Steel. They had the McNugget Buddy Halloween Buddies. And at one point in time, they even replaced the boo buckets with little trick-or-treating bags. So McDonald's definitely still had their thumbprint on fast food Halloween in the 90s. So, sound off in the comments below if you remember getting any of the McNugget Halloween buddies, the boo buckets, or the little trick-or-treat bag.
It's Halloween.
Ronald, why are the McNugget buddies so scared? We're chicken.
Oh, you don't want to be chicken on Halloween. Yeah, you don't want to be a scaredy cat either.
What's coming up at McDonald's this Halloween? Ghoulish McNugget buddies with costumes you can rearrange, plus masks to give your face a change. You get one in each Happy Meal you buy.
Now that's handy.
Now, TV specials. We talked about TV specials in the 80s. Shows like It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and Garfield's Halloween Adventure. All of that stuff spilled over into the 90s and stayed on network TV. It wasn't until a few years ago that most of this stuff got pulled off of network TV and you can only stream it now. But in the 90s, all of that stuff was a mainstay. But we're not going to talk about all of that stuff. No. What really rose to popularity in the 90s was The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror. Marge would agree. Treehouse of Horror, while The Simpsons first premiered on the Tracy Ullman Show in the 1980s. Of course, The Simpsons exploded into popularity in the 90s, and I believe it was 1990 that they had the first annual Treehouse of Horror. Became a tradition I looked forward to every Halloween. But the biggie here, and I believe the first two installments aired in the late 80s, but they took a life of their own in the 90s, and that was the Roseanne Halloween specials. Nobody did Halloween like the Roseanne TV show. Those were definitely a staple for all of us in the 1990s.
Next, you're in for a big surprise, and you're in for a shock when the Queen of Fright,
I'm Beaver Cleaver,
has her big night. Roseanne's all-new Halloween special.
And if we're going to talk about TV shows in the 1990s, if you were lucky enough to have HBO, there's a good chance that you got to enjoy Tales from the Crypt. Now, when Tales from the Crypt originated, it was in the 1950s in EC Comics. That was a great spooky comic book, and it'll probably be the all-time greatest spooky comic book ever. Now, there's been talks to bring back Tales from the Crypt. However, it seems to always have a reason why it never comes back. They've been talking about bringing it back, rebooting it, if you will, for the last 5 or 6 years, but nothing has happened so far. But I don't think that we're going to ever have a time when the Crypt Keeper was as popular as he was in the 1990s. He was so popular that they started reissuing some of those EC comics, and he had his own line of action figures as well as a Saturday morning cartoon. That's right, even in the 1990s, Tales from the Crypt had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Ready for a scare? You must meet Crypt Keeper!
Greetings, Frank Bang.
Crypt Keeper, come back and meet my friends!
Hello, boils and ghouls.
Why don't you offer your fiends something cold and wet? Yes, I think that's exactly what our little fiends need! Crypt Keeper, you're the host with the most! The most rotting flesh, that is! 12-inch talking Crypt Keeper! Promise!
We're going to end this by talking about video games, because the 1990s was the video game explosion. Of course, video games came to popularity in the 80s with Atari, the Game Boy, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and all of that. But with Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and all of these games coming in the 1990s, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, you name it, the 90s was the boom of the video game industry. We got to talk about two honorable mentions here, at least from my time frame, and the first one going to 1990 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, during the Nintendo Entertainment System's dying days before the SNES came out with the 16-bit cartridges, and that goes to Maniac Mansion. Now, Maniac Mansion was based off of an ABC Family TV show of the same name. It was put into video game form, and it was a super hard game. It's one that I had a time trying to figure out and beat. I don't think I ever even beat it, because back then you could only get magazines that had cheat codes in it. You couldn't go on YouTube and figure out how to do it. The next game would be from the Super Nintendo Entertainment System from around 1993, and that is the infamous Zombies Ate My Neighbors game. Now that one is a super expensive game on the collectible market. If you own that one, consider yourself lucky, because it is a hard one to come by these days, especially mint in box. It is considered a treasure in the video game collecting market. So, sound off in the comments below if you ever had either of those games.
You gotta tell me, is he gonna pull through?
Yes.
The truth?
Well, probably not.
Oh!
She pushed me.
What happens to Lenny? Watch Maniac Mansion tonight at 6:30, 5:30 Central on the Family Channel.
There you go. That's a handful of reasons why Halloween was better in the 1990s. If you grew up in the 90s and experienced any of this stuff, sound off in the comments below. I remember all of that stuff, much like I remember all of the stuff from the 1980s. So, which was better, the 80s or the 90s? Well, I guess it really depends on which decade you spent more time in. I'm gonna have to say still the 1980s. The decorations were a little bit better, and I think trick-or-treating was a little bit simpler then than how it transitioned into the 90s. But they both are very parallel and very, very similar. So, if you enjoyed these two videos, there's a good chance part 3 may be coming, and I may be doing Halloween in the early 2000s, because I remember that as well. It's a little bit older then, but I still remember how it was back then. So sound off in the comments below if you'd like to see that. And I do all things spooky here, holiday related and retro related here on Derek Blackheart Spooky Club. So if you're new here, how about slashing that subscribe button and joining the club? And until next time, I'll see you on the dark side.
I got a black heart, it's a new start. Welcome to the Spooky Club. I got a black heart, it's a new start. Welcome to the Spooky Club. Take that!